Back in 1993, my wife Deborah and I moved into a little home in Atchison, Kansas. A quiet street, a peaceful neighborhood. We thought it was the perfect place to start our family. We were wrong. It started small. Toys shifting on their own, lights flickering. We blamed electricity, drafts, anything logical. But deep down, something felt wrong. Like the house wasn't empty when we moved in. Then, the scratches started. I'd wake up with burning pain across my chest and back. Thin, red lines, like a child's fingernails. At first, Deborah thought I was hurting myself in my sleep. But that changed the night she saw it happen. I'll never forget the night Deborah screamed my name. I turned around, and she was pointing behind me. She said she saw a little girl, about 6 years old. Dark hair, old-fashioned dress, standing just a few feet away, watching me, but by the time I looked, she was gone. The worst night came when I was hanging Christmas lights. Deborah was filming me. I felt a burning sting on my arm, and a scratch formed across my skin. Right there, in the open, with no one touching me. The little girl, Sally, didn't like me, and she made sure I knew. Deborah had her own encounters. She'd hear footsteps upstairs when she was alone, whispering, a child giggling softly in empty rooms. Sometimes she'd wake up to see the girl standing at the foot of our bed, just staring at her belly. Deborah was pregnant at the time. We didn't feel safe anymore. We called investigators, psychics, priests. Everyone had a different answer. But one thing was clear. Whatever was in that house wasn't a normal spirit. And it wanted me out. After months of terror, we finally left. We didn't take anything from the house except our fear. Some nights, I still wake up feeling watched. And sometimes, I swear I hear a little girl giggling behind me.
My name is Yuri Yudin, and I am the only one who came back. People call me the luckiest member of the Dyatlov expedition, but I never felt lucky. Not after what I saw. Not after what followed us through the snow. To this day, I still wonder if I turned back because of the pain in my body, or because something wanted me to leave. We were 9 students crossing the Ural Mountains in 1959. Good people, smart, strong. I can still see them adjusting their backpacks, joking, confident that nothing in those mountains could ever scare them. But something did. That morning, as we packed our gear, I noticed strange tracks in the snow. Not animal, not boots. Something large and heavy, moving in a straight line toward the tree line. I pointed it out to Igor Dyatlov. He just smiled and said, "Yuri, the mountains make ghosts out of shadows." But the shadow I saw didn't feel like a ghost. My leg pain had gotten worse. I tried to hide it. I didn't want to leave the group. But by midday, I couldn't continue. I told them I had to turn back. They laughed, hugged me, and promised they'd meet me soon at the sports club. I remember Zena smiling and shouting, "Don't scare the bears on your way back." I started down the trail alone. Snowflakes melted against my coat, turning everything blurry and quiet. Then I felt it. That familiar sensation, like being watched. I turned toward the ridge, and that's when I saw it. A tall, dark figure stood perfectly still at the edge of the forest. Not moving, not shivering, just watching the group, and then turning its head toward me. I blinked, and it was gone. I told myself the snow was playing tricks, but something deep inside me knew it wasn't. As I hiked back alone, the silence felt heavier than before. No birds, no cracking branches, just the wind and something else. A second set of footsteps, light, deliberate, following behind me and then stopping whenever I stopped. But every time I turned, There was only white emptiness. By the time I reached the outpost, I was shaking. Whether from cold or fear, I never figured out. I slept that night with the lamp on. A few days later, I heard the first rumor. Dyatlov Group overdue. My heart dropped. Search teams went out immediately. I wanted to go, but they refused. My condition made it impossible. I waited, hours turning into days. Then the rescuers returned, with faces I will never forget. The tent wasn't blown open by a storm. It was cut open from the inside. My friends ran barefoot into the snow and freezing temperatures. Why would they do that? What could terrify experienced hikers so much that they'd tear through their own tent and flee into the night? Some were found with crushed ribs, injuries no human could survive, but with no external wounds. The official report said a compelling natural force. But I know what they saw. I know what they ran from. Because I saw it first. The shadow watching us from the trees. The presence following my footsteps. The mountains had warned me, and I listened. They didn't. Sometimes, people ask me how it feels to be the only survivor, to walk away while the others stayed. I don't feel like a survivor. I feel like someone who escaped. Something that wasn't finished with the Dyatlov Pass. When the snow falls at night, and the world turns silent, I still see that shape, tall, still, watching. Some shadows don't need light. Some shadows follow you forever.
It happened to me in the 1990s, back when I was a young travel photographer. It happened at the Banff Springs Hotel in Alberta, Canada. I checked in late that evening. The hotel desk clerk was polite, but strangely hesitant as he handed me my key. "Your room is on the 8th floor," he said, but his eyes flicked toward another employee, as if silently asking for reassurance. The elevator ride up felt unusually long. When the doors opened, the hallway was quiet, unnervingly quiet. The lights hummed overhead, casting long shadows on the carpet. I walked down the hall, checking numbers. 869, 871, and then 875. No, 873. At first I thought I'd misread the keycard sleeve, but right where 873 should have been, there was nothing but a solid section of wall, slightly different in color, slightly newer than the rest. I shrugged it off. Old hotels change layouts all the time. I found my room, unpacked my gear, and tried to get some sleep. I should have known I wouldn't. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke to a banging sound. Not the kind you hear from a loud guest or a closing door. No, this was deliberate, hard, repetitive, coming from the wall outside my room. The wall where room 873 should have been. I got up, annoyed, thinking maybe someone was working late. When I opened my door, the hallway was freezing cold and empty. But the banging continued, from inside the wall. I backed into my room, shut the door, and tried to sleep again. But then I heard it. A child's voice. A girl. Whispering. "Help me." At that moment, I sat straight up in bed. The whispers weren't inside my room. They were right outside it. I told myself I was dreaming. I wasn't. The next morning, exhausted, I asked one of the cleaning staff about the noise. The woman froze. Her smile disappeared. "You're near the sealed room, aren't you?" she said. I asked what she meant. She hesitated, glanced down the hall and whispered, "They covered it up. Room 873. After the incident." "What incident?" I asked. Her eyes grew wet. "A family. A father who lost control. They say staff couldn't even clean the room." No matter how many times they washed the walls, the handprints came back, small ones. A child's. Then she quickly walked away, as if saying any more would get her fired. I thought it was just a ghost story for tourists. But that night proved otherwise. I fell asleep early, completely drained. But once again, around 2 or 3 a.m., something woke me. Not banging this time. Scratching. A slow, dragging scratch from the other side of the wall, like nails sliding across plaster. I held my breath. Then I heard it again. The same small voice, desperate, trembling. "Please, he's still here." My entire body went cold. Suddenly, my bathroom light flicked on by itself. The mirror fogged over, even though the air was freezing. And in that fog, tiny handprints appeared too small to belong to anyone but a child. I grabbed my bag, threw everything inside, and got out. I marched straight to the front desk, demanding to know what was going on. The night manager's face went pale the moment I mentioned room 873. "Sir," he said, "there is no room 873. That section of the hotel doesn't exist." I told him what I heard, what I saw. He shook his head. "We don't speak about that room. For your own sake, I recommend you don't either." And that was it. He refunded my stay, handed me a taxi voucher, and practically pushed me out the door. It's been decades since that night. But sometimes, if I'm alone in a hotel hallway, or if I wake up at 2:30 a.m., I swear I still hear that voice. I've learned that room 873 was sealed because whatever happened inside it, whatever remains, refuses to leave. And if you ever stay at the Banff Springs Hotel, take a walk down the 8th floor. Look closely at the wall between 871 and 875. You might feel something behind it, still waiting, still scratching, still whispering, "Help me."